Tobago. Get ready for a musical explosion of freedom, culture, and pure steel band magic.
Featuring 5 of the nation's super bands, plus their talented youth bands.
Get ready for generations of steel.
The ultimate celebration of our national instrument.
Featuring 5 of the nation's super bands, plus their talented youth band.
Experience the power and passion of Desperados,
Shell Invaders,
Massey Trinidad All-Stars,
First Citizens Supernovas,
and the pride of the South, Fun Play. Saturday, July 11th.
at the iconic Grandstand, Queens Park, Savannah.
And hear this one. First 800 tickets sold. Admit 2 buses on 1 ticket if bought by Saturday, June 27th.
Presented by Super Panman, Dane Gulston and Friends.
Supported by CCNTV 6, The Express Newspaper, and I-95.5 FM.
Generations of Steel, the biggest pan event after Panorama.
You'd be surprised, a lot of the patients who present to us with infection in their feet, the infection would have started several days before. Now, the interesting thing is, neuropathy usually goes hand in hand with peripheral arterial disease. So these patients lose the sensation to feel. Now, they may have the ability to have crude touch or general sensation, but that fine sensation, for instance, when a needle sticks them or a thumbtack sticks them, they will lose that sensation.
Right. WESN.
Welcome. Good morning. Hola. This is Sean Michael Small. This is Talking Point on WSN, the Content Capital. I had a thought this morning driving to the studio. I don't know how necessarily it'll come across, but it was just a bit of a, not a grand revelation, but a minor one. I've just reached the age now where I'm starting to look back at my childhood. And it's not necessarily about looking back on it fondly, but rather it's so far removed now. But more importantly, life feels so different now. You know, there's almost like the desire to just revisit the nostalgia if it was possible in some way. If there was some way to, you know, just what Trinidad were alive back then. And I find it interesting when I juxtapose that with something that I regularly say here with regards to whenever I see someone younger than me, and of course as you get older, that number generally increases, right? When someone younger than me passes away, and I'm still young enough where it's mostly unnatural reasons, and if it's natural causes, it's still, in a way, unnatural enough that, you know, I lament the fact that they don't get to experience, as much as my life is not near finished, they don't even have what I have had. They don't even have what someone a little bit older than them has had. You know, I found it very interesting that I'm thinking about, what it would be like to just kind of see what life was like back then when I was like 8, when I was like 4, the people who was around in your life, alive, the older relatives. And then at the same time, I'm also thinking, yeah, but then when you have very young children, young people, young teens, young adults, and their life is cut short, that's it. They don't get the chance to grow and then miss the past. They're the ones who are missed in someone else's past. It's one of those high-end conversations that it doesn't have quite as much practical value, but I think it does maybe shine a light on what it means to be alive and to be human and to go through life, and maybe offers a perspective, not necessarily the most complete one, but a perspective to judge, you know, judge what it means to have to struggle through this. Now, Venezuela apparently was rocked last night. They say it's 2 earthquakes. I don't know what the difference is between, I mean, I assume then maybe there were 2 epicenters, but a 7.2 and a 7.5, that's not anything to discount or to laugh at, because the last time we had a heavy seismic event, it was, I believe, in that range, but out to sea. So we didn't necessarily have any permanent damage. And now here they have the count, by one account, is 164 died, 971 injured. But I did read some initial reports where the concerns might be as much as 10,000 might have been killed given the severity of the earthquakes. Of course, at times, it depends on a lot of minute factors. It depends a lot on, you know, time of day, if the majority population is out on the street and buildings, what kind of buildings, the building codes, you know, how far away exactly was the earthquakes from the affected areas, and so on and so on. So now, of course, Venezuela has declared a state of emergency, and our government is amongst others that has offered assistance. It'll be interesting to see if the politics as usual continues. That is to say, whatever the antagonistic relationship between us and them, our government, our politicians and them, if that remains to be continued in light of such potentially a human tragedy. And one of the things that we have to ask now, is Venezuela capable? It's one thing to have this tragedy, and if it was certain parts of the world, like certain parts of America, I wouldn't say all parts of America, but certain parts of the USA, now, certain parts the devastation would be worse, certain parts they would have the resources available to treat with it immediately, and certain parts they wouldn't. And of course, you could, you know, you could speculate on what it would be like for other parts of the world. You could speculate, what if it happened to us? What if those earthquakes were in our sphere, not Venezuela's? And how will we respond? But with Venezuela having its economic challenges, not here to debate the causes why, not here to debate the politics of Venezuela. It is what it is, where they are economically right now. That translates to your emergency services, your medical services, your rescue services, you know, and your capacity to have resources to deal with emergencies. To what extent is this going to affect the Venezuelan people, going to affect Venezuelan politics, regional politics, international politics? We have to wait and see. I guess on some level, Venezuela is literally right next door. Venezuela is literally right next door. Now, they're a large country, so obviously the earthquake could affect them. It could be right in the middle of their country, what I mean to say, in their territory, right? Whether it's the western half, eastern half, whatever. And it's not necessarily going to affect us. But still, we're not talking about an earthquake that affected Chile or Mexico or Western Africa or Europe, or we're not talking about, or the Bahamas. We're not talking about, you know, places that are somewhat close to us but not right next to us. We're talking about right next to us. We're not talking about halfway around the world. We're not watching tsunamis in Southeast Asia. We are considering, what if there was a tsunami in the Caribbean? And there's a part of me that I'm grateful that we were able to not be a part of the tragedy, that we did not suffer. But then also there's a part of me that wonders, and I doubt, and this is the thing, I doubt people actively thought this, right? But it doesn't happen to us. We don't get the 7.1, 7.2 earthquakes hitting us, and 7.2, 7.5 earthquakes hitting us in the same day. We don't. And, we'll joke about it and say God is a Trinity, and then move along in life in a very complacent, self-centered manner. And I fear we might not appreciate how we are just northeast enough to avoid the tectonic activity to this extent. We are just south enough to avoid the hurricanes, at least for now, and so on and so on. There are so many advantages that we either don't know about, don't exploit, don't know how to exploit, don't appreciate with just our geographic location. Our geographic location, the size of our islands, the fact that we have 2 islands, the fact that we have natural fresh water from rainfall. Not all Caribbean islands have that, by the way. Not all Caribbean islands have rainfall for fresh water. And we just kind of live life as though we are entitled to all of this. And perhaps that's part of the issue. Not only do we not have, in my opinion, you could say I'm wrong, please say why if you do. Not only do we not have a sense of national pride, but also I think we don't appreciate just how fortunate we are. Barbados doesn't have oil and gas. Grenada doesn't have oil and gas, and so on and so on. We have all of that. We were, and potentially are, still blessed. We have innovated, we have contributed to the story of the world, to the history of the world, in a way that very few nations of our age have been able to. Whether it is the only acoustic instrument, I think, in the 20th century, to the art forms of calypso, soca, chutney soca, limbo, all of these things originated here. To some extent, they are viewed as Caribbean, but they originated here. Or tropical island, but they originated here. And we kind of take it for granted to the point where other people make better use of our creations than we do. Other people potentially are the epicenters of aspects of a culture we helped create or created outright. No one will ever disassociate reggae from Jamaica. Ever. Maybe it's a coincidence that they are also more regularly a competitor in international sports on a consistent basis when compared to us. Now, you could say it's mainly just track and field, but still. If you could do something consistently, that means that you are able to do it intentionally, that you have a system that allows it to happen intentionally, regularly, that allows for a certain amount of expectation. The expected result is for them to have good results in international competition. Whereas we rely on, and to some extent, you could say, take for granted and squander, world-class athletes who manage to get the job done in spite of, not because of. They find a way. In a way, we're blessed. We might think, oh, you know, they have Usain Bolt. We never had a guy like Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is naturally talented, but a product of a well-crafted system. Keshawn Walcott seems to be someone who had to have self-actualization because there was no javelin system in the Caribbean, much less Trinidad and Tobago. And here he comes winning gold medals. Now imagine if we actually had the support of the nation, not just the well-wishers, not just a little check here and there, but actual support of the nation behind an athlete of that caliber. And how many like him that are not able to do it on their own do we never hear about? All right, don't have too much time. TNTech is threatening legal action against Keith Scotland. What's interesting is, now I don't have an issue, you know, the truth is where the truth is, even given what I said with regards to the Prime Minister speaking about this in Parliament. The truth is what the truth is. But the Prime Minister made it come across that there was some grand criminal matter happening. And if it just sums up with TNTech filing a lawsuit, that's civil, that's not criminal. I mean, there's a part of me that will actually ask the question, you know, why is it not criminal? But I guess, all right, it is what it is, right? Because it seems to be, if we believe TNTech, something that might have been highly unethical. And therein lies the problem now. Is it, to some extent, given the environment, I'm not going to say that I think this is the truth. I'm not even saying I think this is plausible. But given the environment, I have to ask the question, put forward the possibility. Is this a safe face exercise? And one of the reasons why I could say that is, when Carmen Burt was pursuing the matter against the Auditor General, he appealed all the way to the Privy Council, despite the fact that if you just look at the merits of the case, apparently you should have known that the appeal was a bad decision before he made it, before he went to the Privy Council. And on some level, the Privy Council essentially slapped his hand saying, why did you bring this to us? This is fairly obvious, you are wrong. And they use strongly worded language to basically say, you are wrong. Well, strongly worded language for the Privy Council. Professional. So it's not beyond politicians to take up legal matters or to push legal matters, right, that are not really fully formed. And of course, it's the whole AV drilling did not appeal situation. And yes, I know that's the PNM, this is the UNC. I'm sorry. Different sides of the same coin. They use very much similar strategies and tactics. And particularly, it's almost as though they feel justified. Well, if one did it, I could do it. Because what happens? Because when they complain, we'll say, but you did it, so why we can't do it? Well, as someone who's on the outside of the PNM, I could say it doesn't matter who does it, it's still bad. And the PNM doing it doesn't justify the UNC doing it, and vice versa, because I'm pretty certain I've said this to the PNM when they were in government. So we'll have to see how that turns out, because again, the problem is if the Prime Minister didn't start the conversation on this matter in a national discourse the way she did, which to a lot of people, I suspect, at least I know for some, definitely, it was suspicious that she did it under parliamentary privilege. Because that's what we think whenever anybody does it, whether PNM or UNC. You do parliamentary privilege and you're not willing to talk about it freely or as freely outside of Parliament, then the first thing that comes to mind is this genuine? Or is this disingenuous? Now, one of the big stories coming out this morning, and if we have more time later, I'll get into it later. Well, I don't know necessarily how deep I can get into it, but businessman Dominic Hadid and his wife, apparently plainclothes officers, went to his house at 5 a.m., arrested them, confiscated some of their electronic devices. Their lawyers saying they're not entirely sure where they are because they're being kept moved around. I find that to be quite curious if they're moving them around. Now, if they took them to a station initially and then took them to a final destination wherever they're going to be held, right? That's different. So I don't know what the lawyer means by moving around. If it is multiple locations and potentially it's been ongoing and still ongoing, well then, you know, that's curious. But more importantly, we don't necessarily know what the police have arrested them for and what they are investigating or trying to prove or find evidence for, right? Now, don't really want to speculate on the potential crime, whether it is something to do with the business, something to do with something further on, right? Don't necessarily want to do that. The problem is, and this has nothing to do with the 1% and how the 1% are untouchable, right? Find the truth wherever it may be. The problem is, the police and the Prime Minister are not doing this in a vacuum. They are doing this in the context of, throughout the year, we've had an incident that undermined trust and confidence in the police. Right? And if they are not careful, I'm not saying they haven't been careful. I'm not saying they said anything so far. But if they are not careful with this, forget about the demographic of the businessman. The fact that there are people who have questions with regards to the criminal justice system and disappointment with regards to the messaging of the leadership of national security and the National Security Council in this country. High-profile cases, if not handled properly, will blow up in your face. It has nothing, it doesn't have to necessarily do with regards to anything on the fact of why it's high profile, but rather it has to do with the fact that people are going to be less likely to give you the benefit of the doubt. And you might think, oh, well, it's the 1%, everybody hates the 1%. Don't assume that the common man is going to side with you against the 1%, and you could use that as a way to rally the people behind you against a common enemy. Because it's more complex than that. Right? Now, again, I'm not saying the police did anything or the government did anything. I am just saying it up front. And hopefully, nothing happens. They investigate. If they find anything wrong, they prosecute. If they don't find anything wrong, then I guess you let them go. If they decide to use PDOs, that will be a whole nother kettle of fish. If they are able to charge them, though, I will say this. It's very curious that you could find evidence from intelligence to charge members of the 1%, because the Prime Minister said, we're going after the 1%. But you can't figure out ways to charge gang members. What are we doing wrong? But here's the funny part, right? Whenever a politician says, this is who we're going after with crime, and this is why you have to be careful, and it has nothing to do with the people you're targeting. It has everything to do with the fact that you don't want it to look as though it's a political decision. In part because this is what it's going to come down to, and this is one of the obstacles that any administration had to figure out. How are you going to convince people that you're going after the 1%, the white-collar criminals, but yet nothing and no one in your sphere is going to be affected? Now, how do you define what is the sphere of, say, the Prime Minister, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, or the United National Congress, or her cabinet, or cabinet ministers? I leave that to you. You know, maybe you include supporters, businesses of supporters, names that seemingly are getting contracts left, right, and center out of nowhere. Some of these contracts may or may not be within their areas of expertise. At some point, if you can't show a transparent a near perfect, if not perfectly clean record, and answer all the questions about people within your sphere of influence, the mileage you're going to get from these sorts of grand pronouncements of we're going after the 1% will fall short or potentially seem hypocritical. And again, it has nothing to do with the fact that their last name is Hadid or the businesses that they operate. Swap out any demographic, any big name, any person of any significant financial means in our country with regards to any business, with regards to any suspicions. You could interchange any, whoever, whatever. The delicacy of a political situation that has not moved on things like this is multifaceted and cannot be underestimated. And if you are going to underestimate a video where a man was shot with his hands up, good luck. I really don't want to see anything ugly happen. Let's take a break. When we come back, hopefully we'll switch gears on the conversation. Stay tuned. It's Document at WSN. We'll be right back after this.
In this day of stay-at-home and work from home, home has never meant more than it does today. Whether you're looking to buy, rent, or build your new home, now is the time to get going. Gittins & Gittins real estate agents are here to take you to that place of your dreams. Let us take you home. We help you find that rental to rest along the way, or journey with you to find your home destination. Investors and commercial enterprises too, call us and we'll walk the distance to place your business in just the right location. Owners, leave the headaches to us. We'll find your tenants or buyers while you stay at home. We'll even manage your property at your bidding. Anything real estate, come home to Gittins & Gittins Real Estate. Call us at 760-3280 or 747-1220 or visit us at 16 Fifth Street in Woodbrook.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
The home of Caribbean content is growing and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Are you driven, ambitious, and ready to earn? WESN, the content capital, is expanding, and we're looking for dynamic media sales executives to join our team. Sell powerful advertising solutions across television, digital, and social media platforms, and help brands tell their story. If you have strong communication skills, a passion for sales, and the drive to succeed, join WESN today. Send your CV to marketing@wsncc.com or WhatsApp 6861662 and start building your future.
Hi, I am Emiliana Beechan and I am a mental health and conflict resolution consultant. Welcome to Mind Matters, the show where we explore the intricate world of mental health and the art of conflict resolution. Join us as we hear from mental health professionals, conflict resolution experts, and everyday people who have transformed their lives through understanding and communication. Mind Matters, WESN Content Capital.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man
is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
You don't need to register nothing. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
You'd be surprised, a lot of the patients who present to us with infection in their feet, the infection would have started several days before. Now, the interesting thing is, neuropathy usually goes hand in hand with peripheral arterial disease. So these patients lose the sensation to feel. Now, they may have the ability to have crude touch or general sensation, but that fine sensation, for instance, when a needle sticks them or a thumbtack sticks them, they would lose that sensation.
Correct.
I'm back here and talking about the WESN, and like I said, we're gonna switch gears because whenever I have the chance, it doesn't come up often. Hopefully it'll come up more often in the future as time goes on. But as we've had contender not too long ago, I am joined by another veteran of our local cultural stage, someone who's been in the game for 50 years. I am speaking of the one and only Miss Anne-Marie Cujo, also known as Twiggy.
Good morning, good morning.
Now, should I call you Twiggy? Should I call you Miss Cujo?
Twiggy.
Now, one of the interesting things, this might be hard to explain, but I am interested in names and how things get their names, what is the naming convention of things, right? Because it's about authenticity. You know, it's always interesting, what is authentic in this space? And of course, with Colonians, you have some names like contenders who you know, you want to compete, you want to be the best, your name is contender.
Right.
Then you have something like Sparrow, which I guess you could say, you know, somewhat poetic, Sparrow.
Sing like a bird.
Now we have Twiggy, which I guess the first thing that comes to mind is it has to be some sort of term of endearment where you get a name like Twiggy. You didn't just fall off your bed and say, oh, Twiggy.
No, not me. I didn't do it. My name was given to me by the late Brother Superior, Andrew Macano. At that time, like 15 years, 1974, I was like this, a twig.
Don't worry, I was like that too.
Right, a twig.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the English model by the name of Twiggy. That's where he got that.
Because, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And what was it like? I mean, I guess because did you feel as though it expressed? Because I guess he looked at you and was like, "Hey, Twiggy."
Yeah,
it didn't necessarily express your artistic side.
No. What happened? I was also I do a lot of dressmaking.
Right.
Right. At that point in time, and I used to make my clothes slim, so I already slim and fitting and stuff. And he said, "You might the model or you like dress and stuff," and that's how he gave me the name.
Actually, funny enough, I know someone in a similar situation where there was this really very skinny young girl, and one of the older members of the choir called her Twiggy.
Oh,
and I just thought it was, you know, well, she's
slim,
because I never heard that before, so I just thought, oh, like a twig.
Right, like a twig.
But now I'm thinking, no, there's a famous Calypsonian with that very name, and now there's a lot more specific cultural meaning behind it.
That's right.
So starting off in Calypso, and I think you're not the first Calypsonian to necessarily be in this position, and you won't be the last, because so many of the young ones now are multi-genred.
Yes, exactly.
But you yourself was not necessarily started off as a singer in Calypso.
No. I used to do rhythm and blues. As a matter of fact, I am at the age of 15, 16, I was in nightclubs. Yes, my mother didn't even know about that, but at that time I was taking care of myself. So I went to the nightclubs.
I am so enamored of that music scene where you had live music in a nightclub. Was there a big band, relatively speaking?
Like a combo. They used to call it like the combo set and stuff. Because I remember, I can't remember if he actually backed me up this by the name of Ken Charles. Right. I remember he used to be there for Ella Andel. She also performed at some of those places that I was. And yeah, but it was a little small combo.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, what was that like? Because this would have been your first, this might not be the first time you've sung in front of an audience, but this would be your first like serious professional on the stage, right?
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, if I remember, I was just ready for it, because I remember I started in school, music festival and those songs. And anytime they say somebody to sing, I was always the one to jump up. So I was, myself was prepped for that already. So I went into the nightclubs and I started. As a matter of fact, Brother Superior, that's how he knew me. He had a nightclub in, in La Puerta de Martin. And myself used to, and the late Explainer, and they used to sing there.
I mean, not to segue too much, but now we're speaking of a time where it's live music. That's the norm to some extent in a nightclub. Of course, there were records and then and everything.
But you're singing with a band,
You're singing with a band. Like, do you ever think back at those times and almost feel nostalgic? Because there's a part of me that wishes somebody would be able to put something together, whether it's a nightclub or a restaurant, but to have that kind of feel. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I know, I think I tried it in the, you know, the casinos just bring people to do that. But, so instead of using your flash drive and stuff, I carried a keyboardist.
Yeah.
So he accompanied me in that kind of setting. The slow,
I'm sure a casino must be a tough crowd because
because
so
everybody they
on,
focus on the thing. So you there singing, and it's really a tough crowd in truth.
Yeah.
So because the clubs and they no longer, I can't remember. I don't know any clubs that is happening now where you go and sing that kind of stuff.
I think there might still be some restaurants that have
live
music.
Live, yes.
And you know, on some of it is, I think, an institution unto itself. There's one Chinese restaurant in Fall Park called, you know,
right, okay.
And they have, I think there's at least one guy who,
singing
when I was a child, he was there, and he's still there.
Yes.
I haven't been on the
for
night
a little while, yeah.
But all right, so now of course, Brother Superior says, why don't you try Calypso?
Calypso. He asked me if I can sing, if I like Calypso. That was the question.
Why did he recommend for you to make the adjustment? You know?
I don't know. Maybe because he was the Calypsonian, right? And I remember coming up Park Street the day he was giving me back a lift after rehearsal. And he said, you could sing Calypso? I said, yes. He said, sing something, let me hear. And I started to sing Black Stallion, Martin Luther King. And he said, but you could sing Calypso, next year I'm going to write a song for you.
So
he didn't write the song, actually. It was done by the explainer, Winston Henry. Yes, that was my first song into Calypso.
Was it that you wanted to get into the art form, or did you maybe think this might be a more effective platform or a more commercially viable way to do it?
Well, it was more, not even commercial at that point in time. It was more, you know, you're going to be seen by more people and stuff. Because remember, there were tents at that time. The first tent I sang in was Regal Calypso tent. That tent used to be like where the Hyatt is right now. That's where it used to be.
I mean, you're making me feel similar to when I was talking to Contender, because when you talk about this tent used to be here and that tent used to be here.
Yes,
like my living memory, I do look back at how things used to be and what used to be there and what's knocked down and not there anymore. But I never, you know, had the opportunity to witness some of these things. So it's always fascinating to me.
Yes.
Now, would you say you are a natural performer?
I think so, yes.
Yeah?
Yes, because I didn't have any jitters and thing when going on that stage at Regal Calypso tent for the first time,
And I did hear one of the recordings of one of your hits, Up Under Me. And what I found interesting, first of all, as much as it sounds like it's from the 90s, it's not dated. Like, it doesn't feel old. But also what I also thought was your vocals were, this was not the usual soca calypso vocals. So like you could hear the previous background as a singer. So I was like, this is a serious artistry here.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so before I bury the lead, because you would see in the lower thirds, we are here in part to get the word out, because Twiggy is celebrating her 70th birthday and 50 years in Calypso. So you've been doing this longer than I've been alive.
Oh, don't say that. Oh my God.
You know, so I mean, that's to say the depth of the experience, and first of all, just calling people Sunday, July the 5th, try and support local culture. But more importantly, you know, some people might say, you know, don't talk about a woman's age, but at the very least, that 50 years doing
Trust me, I feel
this
so
one
proud.
art form.
Yes. I feel so proud when I say I'm the 70. 70? What's part of you is 70?
That is also true. I'm not going to lie. If you said 60, I would believe you.
Yeah. I give praises for that,
So, the art form, I mean, you've seen your fair share of it. Part of it is this one interview. Maybe we might have a chance to have more moving on, could help chronicle some of the experiences. Because for me, you know, now I'm just the point of view of not the average Trinbagonian, but the Trinbagonian that didn't live through some of the history. You know? That just doesn't know. So what was it like? You start in Calypso, you get your first song, you know, and I guess you could say you were there to see Calypso rise to its heyday.
Yes.
And then to see what happens after. But let's speak about the heyday phase. Let's speak about the good times.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was beautiful. I remember the first, after Regal Calypso 10, that was people like Chalk Dust, Duke, the late composer, and those people singing Diane, if you ever heard about her, singing Diane. Yes, right? Yeah. She was one. She was the female in that tent at that point in time. After I left that tent, I went on to OYB, the original Young Brigade. That was on where Review is right now, the Calypso Review, Steaming and Waterfront, Ryson Road.
Oh, you caught me.
Right, the Review Calypso 10.
I probably might have seen it.
Yes.
But to say that I know where it is.
Where it is, yes. Yeah, that's where original Brigade was. After that, they had a split chords. They had people like the late Lord Shorty, right? And all the bards was in that tent. Right, Sparrow, everybody was, he was the header line of that tent. There was a split. The Lord Shorty, they went up to Queen's Hall.
Oh.
Yeah, they went up to Queen's Hall. That's the year Abby sing, I'm Young and Moving On. Right? They used to have a Queen show in San Fernando.
Okay.
At that point in time, and she won that Queen show. I came second with It Had to Be a Lady. Right? 1979. Right? So I stayed with Sparrow. End up changing the name of the tent now because Young SYB, Sparrow's Young Brigade.
Okay.
Right at the same spot. So that was Crow, Luther, Lord Short. He sang in that. No, he sang in the original, and all the Crazy. Edwin I. Young was in that tent here.
Right.
So,
I mean, when I hear about these stories, one of the things that I think about is, because it's a shame now, and I don't know if it's because of the internet and things are so diluted now, but like that was the epicenter.
That's
and
right.
These, you and your peers at that time, y'all were the driving force of culture. And y'all were the local celebrities.
Yes.
Y'all were the... on some level, whatever y'all sang, whatever y'all said, there was a certain degree of weight because there were not a lot of opportunities for people to have an audience in any capacity.
Right, and those audiences used to be packed. Those audiences used to be packed. I remember even when I left, because Sparrow took the tent down to Sparrow's Hideaway, and then Kitchener took that spot.
Right.
And I remember I used to make sure to want to go to 2-3 tents after I finished singing wherever I was at that point in time. And when you go
just as a spectator?
Yes, as a spectator. Right. And when you get into by Review, the Calypso Review, it wasn't it. You couldn't. It's just to go in and stand up. If you come after like the third person on stage, not a seat, packed.
And then of course, I mean, part of it too is. Because I've done some live performances, not in Calypso, and so nowhere near as extensive, right? The whole economy of how do you get people, I don't know if it's just, at that time it was easier, but to think how many people are going to congregate to watch live performances of local, not just performers, because anybody could, get on a stage and sing the latest Disney song.
Right.
Local compositions.
Local composition. And trust me, getting back to the original, to Young Brigade, Sparrow's Young Brigade, the type of people used to come to the tent. I remember getting my first US visa is from the person who was in charge of the US Embassy coming to the tent,
Right.
And they used to have like intermission time. They will take them upstairs, Sparrow, and they will take them upstairs to have drinks and stuff, and they will meet the artists and stuff, and said, well, you want to come to the US anytime, and give me an appointment to come to the US Embassy, and got my visa from the Calypso tent.
Was it just a visit, or was it to go and perform?
A visit. That was a visit.
Okay.
That was a visit the first time, yeah.
I mean, and I guess...
A visitor's visa.
I don't know if I asked Contender this, like, how was it with regards to demographics? Was it all walks of life?
All walks of life.
All economic, geographic, racial, religious, just every and anybody?
Yes, yes.
Because I feel like when my parents talk about life back then, it was a lot simpler.
For real.
And y'all didn't have all of the complications that we seemingly have now.
That's
so it's
right.
It's weird when you think, oh well, times were worse in the past. But I'm like, for Trinidad, I don't
think so. I used to live. I was born in Hart Place, Observatory Street, right? And I used to walk across Duke Street. They didn't have the barrier at that time when I finished singing in Sparrow's Hideaway, in Sparrow's Young Brigade. And I used to cross with my bag on my shoulder and walk straight up Duke Street to Observatory Street and home. Nobody interferes. And that's after 12 o'clock in the night.
Right, because I think Katana was the same thing. It's late at night and you're young when you now start out.
I alone.
And of course, yes, and you're a woman alone, but it's a different time.
Different time. That's what since she was asking about the time, and it was totally different.
What was, on some level too, one of the things, because I'm just young enough to know that there was a point in time where Port of Spain was different. It was the center of, I guess you could say, everything.
Everything. I used to come out and we used to window shop in the city.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We used to window shop because remember I live right on Observatory Street. So on a Sunday, that was your recreation. You go on your window shop. Yeah, you go window shopping. Yes.
And now, I mean, I guess malls under pressure now too, but long before the internet and online retail, some people say it was a coup. I would argue it's the parking, to be honest. The parking is what contributed to.
Exactly.
But town is not
how it used to be at all. No, it's totally different now. And well, after, I think before the coup, remember we had, what happened, I think is with we said the coup. They built shutters and closed off the glass so people couldn't go window shopping because you couldn't see through those iron gates and stuff. So that was one of the reasons, one of the part of the reason.
But I mean, think about it, right? To buy iron gates back then, like now we take it for granted, you need security, but back then, to spend that, it had to be for a reason. It's almost as though...
That was the reason, because remember, people started breaking stuff and stuff. So that's how, and gradually just escalated.
When that shifted in society, do you think Calypso also kind of shifted in response? The parts of it that was very much pointed as...
Not exact, at that exact time, if I remember, because people sang about all these happenings was happening, and people used to come to the tent to listen to it. One of the other things is the radio, right? Remember, we used to listen to the radio and hear the song.
Right.
And you say, are you going to see that person sing that song?
Right. And over time, that lesson.
That lesson, yes.
But also, I guess, because there was a point in time when there weren't that many radio stations.
That's the other thing.
So, they can't play all the songs all the time.
All the time.
So if you want to hear your song, you have to seek it out.
Right. So everything became a competition. And
I mean, because of course now, and I don't know if we should jump to that part of the conversation where how could things not necessarily get back exactly the way they were,
I often wonder.
But to build back into something, if not that, but to something new, but just to build back. But I guess let's go to the 90s. Because I feel as though, because I was born in the 80s, I kind of grew up in the late 80s, 90s. So of course, to me, whether, I'm knowledgeable or not, certain names evoke grandeur.
Oh, I hear you.
Right? And I guess the last one was David Rudder. That's the last one.
Right.
Particularly for Calypso, because Marshall was, he was always in it as a child. And he did Calypso Monarch, right?
Right,
As a child?
that's right. Yes, junior.
Right,
yeah.
junior. But you know, he transitioned to soca.
Oh, and then he was part of the Calypso Monarch also there.
Yes.
Yes, the first
Yes.
child inside there, yeah.
But you know, towards the end of the 90s, it was very much soca.
Yes.
That's where he went
Yeah.
to. So to me, it's like, well, you know, of course, you had Kitchener, Sparrow, you know, all of the names that I might not even know who built this thing, you know, and so many names. And then you get, you know, it all leads to David Rudder, and then it kind of, there's no name on that level after him. What do you think happened there? Because you've been active for all this time. What did you notice?
Yeah, first to begin, I think what's happening, we go back to people used to travel. People like Sparrow.
Right, okay.
And these people used to travel and go, because I myself did a lot of shows outside, coming down, you know. They used to have Calypso 10. They had like 3 Calypso 10s outside in Brooklyn. Yes.
Right, yes.
They had Calypso 10s in Brooklyn, so people used to go there during the summertime and then they come back home to Trinidad, right? And somewhere along the line, things started to break down. You know, sometimes I'm baffled to find out, well, why that happened. But as you say, David took the thing, and what David did is the current event, he brought it into Calypso, as we was talking about 1990, you know, and he brought it into Calypso, and he stayed the course.
But I feel like Calypsonians from your time were more melodious. You know what I mean? Like there was more variety. It didn't seem to be the same song with similar beats and similar melodies. And of course there were some which were fun and weren't serious. But there was a certain, you still have skill and craftsmanship now, don't get me wrong. The winner of the last Calypso Monarch, you know, powerful song. But it was a different, I don't even know how to explain it fully, but it just felt like grander. There was more scope.
And, I think what happened too, we end up focusing on the crime, right? And I think so many crime songs came about, and then we put, what should I say?
Because now it's politics. Like I don't have a problem with politics. It's just that at some point, if everybody does it and it sounds the same.
Nothing else, exactly. So after that, they came up with the politics and stuff. Now, political song is part of the thing, because we, as a matter of fact, Tuku used to have a political you know, you'll put out the politics, pull the nation building, the party and things. So we had like 4 separate things at that point in time. But then everybody cannot sing. Because when you come into the tent to hear, everybody's singing about what's happening, what happened in the newspaper. Some people are newspaper. They take the whole newspaper story and they just, right.
I mean, I assume y'all didn't necessarily do that back in the day, right?
They did, but it's how they did it.
Right.
It's how they did it, because, okay, I remember my son was doing a project and he was asking, Mom, who was Abdul Malik, right? So I say, you know, I explained to him, but then I say, you know, Calypso have everything. If you go to Kitchener's song, one of Kitchener's song, he will tell you about the whole story with Abdul Malik and them, right? But it's how they used to tell the story at that point in time.
You called some of your peers back then bards. I find that interesting because not a lot of people might necessarily use that term. Why is there a reason why you or they called yourselves bards back then?
It was because they were there up there. And when you say Kitchener, you say Sparrow, you say Nelson, you say Chalk Dust. People used to look forward to these bards and them, you know, they want to hear what he's singing. So, and they used to come into the tent because they know every year, every time. And these people used to have an album, those times with the records, with like 14 songs on it.
I mean, even modern music now, the album is not quite what it used to be. Yeah.
So, you know, so that at that time, they were the bards.
Because I think there's something about, historically, a bard I mean, it's very much what we view as Calypsonians, an artist, but also, you know, someone that is like a town crier, giving you the news.
Exactly, that is
way.
what Calypsonians are.
Yeah.
The voice of the people. If you have something and you can't say the Calypsonian, you say bring it forward to the crowd, to the people.
Would you say that back then it was almost like if you had a list of duties, you had the duty to the art form,
right?
You had the duty to the people with regards to the information, and then there was the business,
right?
Whereas now it feels as though, well, you're a performer and you're a professional, so kind of the business
is thing, and I think that's what
up.
Right, and I think that's that business part of it. Most of the elder ones, that is what was missed with them. So you hear some people say to the Sparrow here and this one, but the business part, because most of these guys didn't have like real agents, right? To make sure that things, you know, some of them didn't even want managers.
What was built was not necessarily built sustainably.
For them.
Right.
Yeah, so.
But also, one could argue, because, you know, the older artists, you know, you all lead the way for the younger artists, right? So the ones with the mega success, it's not just about guarding your money, but also setting things up, like concretizing things so that the next generation has a more solid ladder.
That's right, yeah.
And potentially that wasn't quite done. We didn't.
No, I don't think you go to sing, you go to a show, they call you to perform in New York. You go and sing, they give you, you know, they pay a thing, and then you fly back home or something like that. But that business part of it, like how Marshall and them doing it now.
Well, I mean, Marshall is unique, huh?
Yeah, that's a different.
You know, Marshall, Kess, you know, and you could maybe find a couple other names, but Marshall is very unique because, in part, when you think about the people who you would put as his contemporaries or peers in the business now, they're not the guys and girls who he started with. He's left so many of them behind. But part of it too is, maybe did we, the public, not realize also what we had? You know, because, I mean, the Calypsonians, at the time you'll come, you'll sing, you know, no one's there to tell you how to, what to do. You all have to try and figure it out on your own. And we, to the public, we're enjoying it.
The public is one thing, but the culture is the nation. The culture is the nation. From government come down, not so? The culture is the nation, and if they don't show that this is ours, this culture is ours.
Well, that's why, in part, that's exactly what I'm saying. I have always lamented, because we have an arts and culture show, and, you know, my colleague on that show, we speak about it a lot, and then we have a sports show, and I speak about it with Andre a lot, with regards to sports as well.
Right.
The appreciation for these things, right? That is not, it's not gonna make a bag of rice or a bag of flour. It's not gonna construct a building, but it could potentially generate wealth to pay for that building.
Because Carnival, what is Carnival? Mass Pan and Calypso. And I've been to, whilst I was in Tukuta, different seminars where Professor Nurse will come and they outline how much money is revenue coming into Carnival. So why, you know, what it is.
But I think, because one of the things is people say, oh, well, we've gotten away from traditional mass. I'm like, look, if the public wants to go in a direction, you can't fault the businessmen for feeding that. It's up to, I think, the artists and the public to say, but we still appreciate and support this, and we'll pursue this, you know? And on some level, you know, you can't just say, well, you know, the big bands, they want beads and feathers. It's like, that's what people buying. So they will go there.
What they get, and,
They're not there for the art form, right? So then we need artists to step up.
Enjoyment and stuff.
Right, and then one historian said, well, look, at the end of the day, if this is what mass evolves to, it has become what is the tradition now, and then somewhere down the line, probably there'll be a different tradition, right? When the trends change and we fed up with that.
Right, another generation, that's right. Yeah.
But But we, as a people and as a nation, as a society, like, to appreciate what's ours, because I guess that's part of it, right? We might not be able to claim Carnival, but we could claim Calypso.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So let's jump to now, because there are a couple of Calypsonians that I've seen, you know, good songwriting skills, multi-genre, so they're talented as artists in general.
Yes.
Some of them have a deep appreciation for old-time Calypso, which I very much like, because like I said, there's something about the melodies and the artistry of yesteryear, where it wasn't just this hard politics.
Right, yes.
What do you see as the future with regards to the up-and-coming artists? And do you see any hope that things could change, whether in the short term or the long term?
The short term, I'm not sure about the short term, but hopefully I hope that in the long term things could change, because I look at the ones who coming up, the juniors. Although most of the juniors we have songs are written for, right? But the passion that they put into the performances, we have a vibrant junior, took off a vibrant junior Calypso team competition, and they have the people who run that competition and stuff, right? And I will hope that, but one of the things, because if you, when I check back, people like Patrice came from that same junior.
Okay, okay.
Destra came from that
Yeah,
same juniors. You understand? But they went into the soca. Yeah, I remember, you know, so it make you wonder if they're going to do the same and just leave the Calypso and just, and so as we were saying, maybe it's the business part of it, is the, they do more into with the soca. So I you know, it's very, I don't know.
So one of the things I find interesting is, you might be unique, and I could be wrong. A lot of old-time Calypsonians, like a lot of old-time singers, one of the big difference now with young singers now is you have more than one university with programs to teach you skills that those amateur singers from my generation did not have access to.
At all. Yeah.
Right? And of course, a lot from your generations and did not have access to. You are unique, because to me, I'm like, no, this is a capable voice that knows what it's doing. And I could even tell just by how you speak now, there's a softness to your voice that tells me you haven't suffered the damage that some soca stars
and Calypsonians
have done to their voice. But I know, especially with regards to soca stars, because part of it is when I think about Destra's voice, but even going further, Denise Plummer's voice, because my father would always say, you know, she had such a good voice and she was such a good singer, but she did soca at the time. And I know that whenever my choir ever did anything like that, like it's almost like if, you know, you just assume you have to sing it a certain way. Part of it is the volume, part of it is just how you're singing it.
Right.
And then it could easily, like, you know, harm your voice.
Harm your voice.
Like,
I'm very particular with volume. And I think that word, that is a serious thing.
Try not to be on volume.
I'm telling you, I'm very particular about volume. Sometimes I worry with myself. I say, I mean, I'm a singer. And how come I can't? But I program myself. I shouldn't be listening to that noise.
Yes.
No, I try to take myself out of that. No.
I think because there are times when I've been at shows where, not necessarily the whole show, but when that volume mixes off and that music is too loud, or even if everything's too loud. But then also, you know, if you're trying to compete with that, the strain.
Exactly,
Could it be that the young ladies, I can't speak necessarily for the men, but look, even Marshall, I think Marshall's voice.
Yes, because he have to do, I mean, he showed it, he went on social media and was showing you he have to do certain things before he go and sing and stuff.
Because when you listen to him live, if you know enough about vocals, and especially if you've, like myself, at times I have lost my voice, you know, in the midst of a performing period. I won't say season, it's more like, you know, a concert and the, you know, You kind of know what to hear for.
Right.
Could it be that, you know, if soca is demanding so much of them, then you're going to go and do calypso and try to sing something like a ballad? I don't know if it's going to work, you know, because a part of me, going back to where we started, it's a shame that they can't do both.
Both of them, yeah.
But then if your voice is gone trying to do this, rah, rah, rah.
Right, yeah, it's hard because you're putting strain on it. So, you know, I never, maybe because I never did that type of soca.
I mean,
think, yeah.
you did.
But the Up on the Me's is still, you know.
But for the 90s, it was soca.
Yeah, right. It was soca in the 90s.
It was soca in the 90s, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of soca songs that are, you know, big and hype and stuff. And this is right there with it in terms of style, tempo, pace, melody, lyrics, you know. So, you know, how is it that was it just because of volume control, or did you, I was meaning to ask, did someone teach you vocal technique, or are you just one of those blessed people who?
No, I never took, you know, and I always wonder about that, you know, if I should have, but I never took any vocal.
Because it sounds as though you're just one of those rare
well,
people
I give thanks for that.
You know, I'm born and I have proper technique and my voice is fine, and you know, just sing properly, guys. Because for someone like me, it's kind of like you can't learn how to sing in a classroom. You need a coach.
Right.
It's hard to explain what goes on all inside here.
Right. I hear you.
So whenever someone comes, it's like, yeah, I just open my mouth and sing. I'm like,
oh my God. I don't know. Last night in my rehearsal, I started, because the show, right, I wanted to do like back in the nightclub, so I'm doing one little rhythm and blues. And I was surprised at myself even bringing the rhythm and blues out, you know, so maybe as you're saying, and I never looked at it that way, you know.
No, part of it is you could at times, not always, but you could at times hear singers' vocal quality just by their speaking voice.
Right.
And I could hear it. You don't have the graveliness that a lot of local performers, and part of that is because, again, if you're not trained, so I was going down that direction until I got some lessons, but even then, it's not as though I'm nowhere near in the same class as so many people now, like say Chris and Joseph, right?
Yeah.
I'm not in that league vocally, right?
Right.
You know, but you could hear, like, I know what the strain is like, especially for men.
Okay.
Right? It's something about voice placement, you know, how we speak.
Speak and stuff.
You know? So I think that's why, what is it, boy? Like, North American male vocalists, I think, sound better than us because of that placement. They have an easier time, whereas our female vocalists, I find, sound better than theirs because the same way you speak, right? It makes a difference. I think that's why Michael Jackson always spoke with, at times, a high voice. Trying to protect. Right? Maybe not all. They say when he was relaxing, he spoke down there.
Down there, okay.
But that's just a theory. I'm not no big vocal scientist. But it's just fascinating that here we have someone where you didn't come up any time of UTT. Or UE, Arts, and Chorale.
My son been there, I never been, yeah.
So what's that like now? Because your son is also, at least to some degree, he's dipped his toe in the art form. He's fully in?
Yes,
fully in?
Yeah, Lanny K is fully in. Lanny K sang in Calypso in the 10s for a number of years, although he's migrated now. Not really migrated yet, but he's out there.
I mean, it's a business, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, I saw something, you competed against them once?
Yes, in 2025, we made history, mother and son in the semifinals.
What was that like?
Oh, that was beautiful. We enjoyed every bit of that. That was beautiful. I supported him, he supported me. Make sure that, Mom, we had a session home. Mom, let's get this thing together, you know, and saying yes.
Does he almost appreciate now your career, now that he's, and your daughter as well, now that they've like, now we've actually been in it. We might not have been back in the day when you were gallivanting around town in that different time when it was the center of Trinidad, but they're still doing the art form, and you're still doing it as well, so they not only get to have that experience of what you went through as a young performer, but also get to do it with you now.
Me, yes.
As you're still the senior looking at the juniors.
You know, this morning I sent a little clipping of the rehearsal last night. We were doing, now is the time. And I got a phone call early this morning. Mom, my paws raised. I didn't even watch the whole thing, but seeing you, like I wasn't really conducting the group that was there, but we was just running the lines and stuff. He said, I feel so proud, you know, and my daughter, she did her rehearsal last night, and she really felt good about it, you know, and that's how we roll.
All right, so again, let's not bury the papers over here. Going back to your 70th birthday, 50 years in Calypso, 2-on-1 special for $350.
For $350.
This is tickets for the event, right?
Yes, for the event.
Two tickets for $350, one ticket for $200.
For $200, that's right.
At Napa, and you have Crocro, Luther, Lenny Piku.
Lennox Piku.
Lennox Piku. I'm sorry, the eyes.
Yes,
I've now reached that. But of course, your son.
Lani K, yeah. Nefta Kojo. Super Blue.
Right, their daughter and Super Blue. And Super Blue.
Super
I
Blue.
mean, your outfit and the you know,
and let the blue. Right, but can I just say a little bit about the Super with Super?
Yeah.
Right, so I'm doing the show like my journey through Calypso, right? So these people are people who have been, I traveled with Crocro to do shows outside. I did background vocals for Crocro, right? Lennox Piku, he used to be in the nightclub with me. That's where, yes, Lennox Piku, the New York connection. I don't know, Lesson Paul in the New York collection. That's what his name became big. But we used to do the nightclub stint. As a matter of fact, Lennox, I took my girlfriend one night to, it was Cowboy Jack's Hideaway in the South Q in Port of Spain, South Q in Port of Spain, and I took my girlfriend to see one of the show. And she met Lennox and fell in love, and they got married with 3 kids, yes. So that's why he was to be on my show, right? Super Blue. I knew Super when I was like 13, 14 in Point Fountain.
Okay.
Before Super was Super Blue.
Yeah.
Austin Lyons. He was Baptist Road, and I was in the streets in front. I used to live in the street in front. And Super used to come with a little catro and we sit down on the step. He's singing and I singing until my aunt will come and say, Super, your mother calling you, go home, go home. Yeah, and that's how we knew each other. And then one day, a year coming along to auditions, I was auditioning, I went for audition at Sparrow's Hideaway. And that's where me and Super connected again after all those years. I saw him, that's the year with Soca Baptist, when he came in town with Soca Baptist. And we connected again, and that was it. So I knew Super long before he started to sing Calypso.
I mean...
and we stay friends ever since, yeah. We know when Terry, his daughter Terry, I knew Terry mom, we used to sing in the Masters Den, Shadows Masters Den.
Okay.
Background vocals together. And that's how, that's Terry's mother. So I knew Terry while she was in her mom's belly.
It's almost like if, you know, you could see why it was different, because it was a simpler time, you know?
Exactly.
2 kids, 1 quattro singing, having fun, and then you're on the biggest stages of the art form.
I'm telling you, yes. And he became so huge. Super, yes.
What do you think as an art form? Because we spoke about the fact that it you know, from my perspective at least, I mean, not put words in your mouth, but, you know, it is somewhat monotonous. And I remember when I was a child, now maybe it was because they didn't have cable, you had one TV, and watching TV back then was an event. Everybody watched the same TV.
Yes.
And there was something about the stage at the Savannah.
Oh my God, yes.
When you look, and it does not, I don't know if it's the camera angles are different, because you know how it had that angle where you're just from above and you're watching the whole big stage.
Right, and around the stage, right to the front of the stage.
Yeah, and the Calypsonian seems so small.
Exactly.
But this is the interesting thing. Because the stage looks so grand.
So huge.
They look like cultural giants
on that stage.
On that stage, right? And it doesn't feel quite the same anymore.
I'm telling you.
So I don't know if we could ever get back to that. Maybe even if it's not commercially the same, socially, culturally, if it could get back to that, like what do you think Calypso has to do? Does it need to try to be more diverse in its topics, in its structures, in its melodies, you know, the songs?
That era you're speaking about, right? So most of the time I go back to YouTube and I look at it. I remember even the song that I was first runner up in that same Skinner Park, but it was a night show, not that type of crowd and stuff, that was the Queen show. And I sang the song in the Savannah, in Queen's Park Savannah. So just as you're saying, a little dot on the huge audience, because they had the north stands were filled, and that was a Clash of the Giants. A night show classic, they used to have Clash of the Giants, and I'm this little person on the stage. Grandstand full, north stands full, right?
It's almost like an arena.
I'm telling you, I must say, after years, I haven't seen that until Marshall was on stage that 2 years ago. Yeah.
Was this here or
20,
abroad?
In the Queen's Park Savannah.
Right, okay.
I saw where the north stand again was filled, because you they don't even use the north stand again. Right? For Pan, and that's it. I think so. I think these last 2 years, you now will get some people, I think they tell them to go for free into the north stand.
Yes.
Skinner Park, we will never get that kind of feel again. We wouldn't get that feel again. Now, I have worked with Tuco. As a matter of fact, I actually run Calypso Fiesta 1 year myself, and with Michael Legerton as president at the time, and about 3 of us run Calypso Fiesta. Now, they used to be filled, but the way the crowd used to be at that point in time, remember, used to be up to the stage. They now bring the barriers back so people can't go. So it's a different feel, a different vibes than when you see in that. I remember I came back one year, when Super was going through some times, and people were saying all these negative things about him, and he came back into the Savannah. That was, I think, maybe one of the last year that I saw that kind of crowd, because I end up going on the stage, tears coming down my eye when I see Super in his element and on stage. I don't know if we could get back that in that Skinner Park again. You will have the crowds, you will have the audience and stuff, but not that type of vibration.
Yeah, something about the 70s and the 80s where kind of culture just, it had a unique
different
flavor.
Yes.
That you could literally taste off the television. I don't know how else to explain
it. You explained it nicely.
I don't know how, like, and I guess I think about it a lot, because I started the show saying, I think about my childhood, and there's a part of me that would just like to go back to it, literally, not because it was better, or times now are worse, or I want to be a child again, but just to go back because things changed.
Yes.
And it's
that's the word,
it's that flavor, yeah.
It changed.
Like from watching whoever was on the main stage, and how the crowd would react to watching Kitchener's music video of the Bees Melody.
The Bees Melody, right.
To watching Rudder's White Powder, right? Like there was a different, it was almost like if things weren't so developed. So we don't know what the limits are yet. We're just doing.
Yes, we're doing.
We're just creating.
I think that's the word, the change. And I don't think, so maybe you can't go back.
So we have to go forward.
We're just going forward. And maybe if we create something that the generation now could look back and say, well, they might appreciate, they should, I hope, appreciate it.
Well, funny enough, do you think now that more young people are going into arts, trying to be professional at it, learning vocalists, music, like now they have an appreciation for
it, yes.
For the culture,
yes,
for the history,
yes.
Is there any hope that might not just encourage more performers, but also spread out to the wider population?
I hope so. I will think so. I hope so, because we have the UTT, and a lot of them is into the. Although it's sometimes sad that when they come out from there is where to go, where we're going from here. Because we don't have the space to...
Well, I guess it's like what, your generation and generation before did. You know, you all had to build your space.
Yes, you have to make this space.
You know? Because I remember we went to UTT to watch some films from National Archives, and one of them, I think it was, I can't remember who it was. It was a masked man from the 90s. Was it Walcott? No, I'm mixing up the names. I'm so sorry. And I think he passed away. And he had some very, like, when you look at his carnival bands back then, very much against the norm, how, his use of fabric and his
stuff.
designs.
Yeah.
It's not just beads and feather and what,
Right.
And it was all walks of life, young people, old people, different skin colors, like enjoying what is not just the typical experience you see now.
No, yes.
And then there was also some other movies that we saw, and there were young people in the audience, and they were discovering.
Right.
You got to see people discover.
That's right.
Wonder for the first time.
Trust me, and we have it in Trinidad and Tobago. We have it. It's to tap on the right stuff.
Do you think if we, I know of course, economic sustainability is an issue, but you said they made the North Stand free for Marshall?
No, Marshall wasn't free. I think it's the year after they
year after.
Yeah.
So if we do things like that, not necessarily free, maybe make it cheaper.
Yeah.
Bite the bullet now.
Bite the bullet.
Think of it as an investment to try to,
yes. Yeah, something have to be done.
Because also too, one of my issues is, why is our culture centered around Carnival?
Carnival time.
And for so much of the rest of the year,
nothing's happening. Right, so let me say, various mass span, well, the mass with Carnival time, right? And then they go up, but they don't, this is Carnival time here, but some of them, they go to the different islands, they go to the different region, because North America have a wide variety of West Indian type Carnival, right? So they go and they do their things out there. But in Trinidad, we have Pantry and Bago. They do a lot during the year. They have the pan and powder and this sort of thing. For Tuco, we used to do a lot of things also. We had, maybe the next administration, or if this is the same administration, come about and maybe put some things and get things back on stream, because a lot of things is missing where Calypso is concerned, to get things throughout the year, right? Because all we have now is maybe like the juniors, to the North Zone. I think they do it in South Central also. Most likely the East will do it where the junior have the workshop, but it used to be different, it used to be vibrant and stuff. During the year, have vacation camp, where the Black Sage and them will come in and teach the children how to do extempo. When I say, you're doing it for them and to see if they will pick it up, because extempo as content, they will say you can't buy it.
Yeah.
You have to, it comes, naturally, and how to sing and make or write a calypso and these things. So we had to get more vibrant to these things. I think it was lacking for the last couple of years.
Do you think Calypso has to adjust? Because part of it now is, this is, for someone in the media, one of my concerns is, as the media shrinks, where are we going to get our news? So funny enough, I could go two ways with this question, because I guess from the 2000s on forward, Calypso as a way to get news wasn't necessary. I guess it was more to just hear commentary, right? But not necessarily to be informed. It was more like you kind of want to hear the bacchanal a little bit, right?
Right, yeah.
But now perhaps maybe if the news industry, because around the world it's happening, is collapsing, maybe Calypso could fill some of that void, right? But let's just say that wouldn't necessarily happen. If that doesn't happen, right? Is Calypso's purpose as bringing news, perhaps does that have to change?
I shouldn't think so. I feel not. Because That's where it stemmed from. It's the voice of the people. When we go back to our slave masters days, they used to say that's how we used to taunt the slave master. Or that's how we used to send the messages by singing in the song, or he wouldn't understand what they were saying. That's the griots, and that's how the thing goes. So I don't think we can't change that.
Well, let's go there, because one of the other things that I speak about here, because we're more of a current event show on Talking Point, right? But I always like to look at, or to give arts and sports the importance, and I say art and culture and sports in this country are like two red-headed stepchildren, how we treat them, right?
Yes.
And we treat them the same.
Yes.
But the importance of art, the importance of the voice of the people, one of the things I am concerned about is outside of elections, there's no voice to the people. The people don't know how to, whether it is to talk, to demonstrate, to protest responsibly. What are the avenues for them to get their message out there? And maybe that's why now that when you have an art form that's supposed to be the voice of the people, if the people are no longer accustomed to voicing.
And if they're not coming to hear the voices also.
Yeah. You know, but we're so complacent. We just want to stay in our lane, stay home.
Right, that's it.
Stay comfortable. Don't get involved. So when you have now artists that are like, hey, this is going on, well, maybe they have a lot of people who are like, that's too much for me.
And we have them right now. We have a lot of people like that, and it's sad. People tend to try to figure out, you know, what caused the thing with the because the calypso tents, as you as well know, or you know, that is the crowds in the tent.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there are so many different things that cause that. Some people say it's too much of the political thing. We bash the other ethnic, we bash the other groups.
Yeah.
And whatnot and stuff. But it's a combination of things, I would think.
I mean, part of it too is, it seems like culturally, while I'm not going to say it's intentional, there is some level of, well, you know, this ethnic group has this, that ethnic group has that, and we kind of mix sometimes, but not always. You know what I mean?
And it didn't used to be like that.
It didn't used to be like that.
It didn't used to be like that. Because I seen Spectacular Forum filled to the max. And anybody could pull it up on YouTube and you see the different ethnic group inside there, right? And something drastically changed. And another thing is, well, we know a lot of the people died. The people left us and stuff, right? Some of the younger ones now, we have the avenue where they go and lime on things. So they are not in the tent. Another thing, people say, okay, maybe it's the songs that the artists singing and the calypsonians and them singing. But I remember, way back, Bunchy Garlin sang a maestro song, Fire, right? And we brought Bunchy Garlin into Kaiso House. And Bunchy Garlin's group of people, his followers, didn't come to the tent.
Right.
They wait for him in the party.
Yeah.
And this is what I know personally.
We've moved the social aspect out of the tent
exactly,
into the
fetes. Exactly so.
So then the question is, maybe Calypso has to find a new forum?
Something something. I see where they try to mix some younger ones coming, but still the tent is not how it used to be. Cram, and people not gravitating.
When you look at what is commonly held as traditional mass, and I feel that traditional mass is such a wealth of, because it's you. I think if you don't know, you would not expect there to be so much creativity and characters in traditional mass.
Yes, it
And
has.
for the life of me,
yes.
And one of our compatriots has not spoken about it on air as much as she probably would like to, but Karen Nurse-Shera, former Minister of Finance, she very much deeply believes in cultural tourism.
Okay.
In our culture, driving tourism. Right?
Yes,
And it's true. And of course, again, it doesn't have to just be Carnival Monday, Tuesday,
Ah.
right? But here's the question for Calypso, though. Because I feel like we're failing the characters. And we're failing those traditions. Are you concerned that on some level, despite the best efforts of now a new generation like Chrison Joseph, who has the passion and the talent and the skill, but he's but one man.
One person, yeah.
You know, that we run the risk of also failing Calypso as well?
I think we feel it for a couple of years coming down here now, you know, because the Calypso tents for the past maybe 5 years has suffered tremendously. Past maybe more than 5 years have suffered tremendously. So it's already failed, right? So it's what do we do? Maybe, I don't know, I see my organization took the Calypso tent away from the Savannah setting, which was the tent setting, right, and took it to the hotel setting.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yes, I think the last extempo competition.
Right,
yeah.
the extempo and the tent itself, right, yeah. That's Dynasty. I personally I didn't know how successful it was. But then Calypso is a different type of a thing. That some people will tell you, if you're having a show in Napa, you know, I like to drink like extempo in Napa.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
Yes, because the restrictions.
The restrictions and stuff, right? So even in thing now, there is a different type of setting. So what do we do? What do we do? We try and take it from there to put it in another field and see, but I don't know. I don't know.
I think the last big thing I saw from Marshall that resonated with me was him in, I think it was Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
I could be wrong, so forgive me if I am. Feel free to correct me if I am. But it was a sold-out crowd.
Yes, it
right?
was, yes.
And part of me wonders, like Steel Pan, and this is also leads into this could work for cultural tourism, and this is evidence why foreigners will appreciate our traditions more than we will appreciate our traditions.
It's a fact.
Is that still true?
Although, when you say Madison Square Garden, right? But just going back to Tuco did a show in the Apollo. Marshall did a show in the Apollo also. I didn't go to Marshall's show, right? But Marshall's show was sold out for the 3 nights.
Right.
I went to the Calypso show, right? Packed show, beautiful show.
Yeah.
But again, the audience is the diaspora. The children who are up there, the West Indians who are up there, and most Trinidadian, Trinbagonians. You might have, like, you know. So that you just tell me for the. So and even in Madison Square Garden is because we have a lot of us out there.
Right.
So they are the ones that think. So those questions, I saw it happen in Sweden. I saw it happen in Sweden, real Calypso. When I say Calypso. I saw Black Stallion sing to a totally full pack white audience, and they're singing.
Foreign audience.
Foreign audience in Sweden.
And they're singing a song?
Of course, they're singing the chorus. Denise Plummer was also on that tour.
Oh my God.
So that's the thing what happened. Well, Calypso was there, and we don't know what happened.
I'll say this. At least one point in time, Sweden was a big source of tourists in Tobago. You know, that's Scandinavia.
Yes.
Scandinavia, Germany, France, England.
Right.
But Sweden was a big source.
Yes.
And dare I say, part of why that might have lessened or got cut was how we handled tourism in Tobago as well, unfortunately. And I spoke about this earlier too, and I've spoken about this at times, my belief that we lack a sense of national identity. Pride. Or when the Soca Warriors in the World Cup, everybody waving the flag. And for Independence and Republic Day, we'll have flags.
We have, yes.
And then when something goes wrong, we go stops. Right? Or look, Venezuela had 2 big earthquakes.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously it wasn't like right next to us. But then when you look at the globe, Venezuela is right next to us.
Right next to us.
The hurricanes more or less miss us. The earthquake miss us. You know, so many things miss us.
Miss us, yeah.
Right? And we kind of take it for granted, and we don't necessarily appreciate red, white, and black, Twin Islands, multicultural, right?
Multicultural.
And of course, some of that is not just what we inherited. It is the evolution of what we inherited from the plantations into the 70s, the art form, the lifestyle, the identity. Yeah. And I could be wrong, because of course I was young or not alive back then, but I feel like being a Trinbagonian then and being a Trinbagonian now is two different things. And Trinbagonian now is kind of riding on the coattails of what Trinbagonian then meant.
Used to be.
And you know, I mean, Calypso, I guess, goes hand in hand with that, not so?
Yes. Yes.
Is it right to say it's one of the oldest original art forms we have in this country?
Well, the first, we passed 100 years of the first recording, Calypso recording. We passed that 100 years a couple of years ago, you know. Yeah. So, it is.
So I guess, I mean, I get the sense where, you know, you feel the weight of the implications.
We do. It's kind of hurtful to me sometimes, but I wonder what is going to happen and how it's going to happen, because we need to somehow to revamp. And I think I will say now, if who will be locked on, who could pull back this show and listen to it, and the members, because we have an organization, it's a membership organization,
right?
And we are the ones to have to do it. We have to try to get it done.
But let's just have a little bit of hope for the future. You know, of course, we mentioned Chrison Joseph. He's been on the station a few times. You know, I saw him.
He rehearsal last night. Yes, he's part of the production. Yes, I could not leave him out.
Actually,
yes.
He was at North Coast Jazz. And before I interviewed him, I interviewed one of our senior hosts and journalists, Andy Johnson.
Okay, right. Andy, yes.
And what Andy had to say about the lineup, I mean, it wasn't just Chrison, but I knew that, you know, at the very least, he earned his fair share of that praise. And it was genuine, heartfelt, like what he had to say for the music, for the performers, right? Yeah. So then when I was able to pass it on to Chris on his interview, like he was blown away.
Yes,
so we know we have that there. We know your 2 kids, Lani K and Nefta Kujo, they're there in it.
Yes.
So no matter how, I mean, so they don't just carry the legacy of their childhood hero. It's literally in their blood.
It's in the blood, yeah.
It's literally in their blood. That legacy is a different kind of legacy.
Yes. And we have a few of them, well, you know, because we have Colonel Roberts, Kitchener's son.
Right. So now, at the very least, I think even if we can't figure out a way how to improve it, there's some reason to hope, well, it's not going to die just yet.
No. It will never die. Never. Once we have these people born every day, and once we have those young people coming up, Calypso can't die. We are going to die and leave it. But Calypso is not going to die. It will continue.
But there's still a legacy left
yes.
to carry it on.
Yes. We have a legacy to carry it on.
And how?
But just question you, as we talk about, just now we were talking about the ones who leave the soca, who leave the Calypso and went into soca, but did you realize for 2026 how many people went back to the old school Calypso?
Yeah, I think
we had Melda, Good Morning Mr. Walker, Sparrow song did over. A few of them. So they get in there, and that's the younger ones, the soca artists and they.
So for me, the controversy of of what happened with the Calypso Monarch competition overshadowed that, because I felt as though now it was getting too much. And I'm not necessarily saying that there was any conspiracy to cut anyone's mic.
Yeah.
But the climate that we live in, unfortunately, allows that to be pervasive. And it was one of those things where a lot of what I say is not this was bad or this was good, but rather, well, how it was handled.
Handled at the time, yeah.
Then, you know, makes it worse than it needs to be. Now, that said, you know, the young man's Calypso, oh gosh, I don't know why I can't remember his name anymore, but his Calypso, both the winner and his Calypso were pretty powerful. His Calypso was very pointed.
That's the Monarch. You're speaking about the Monarch or the...
Not the Monarch, the one who got his mic on the broadcast, I think.
Oh, yes, Helan,
yes,
Francis, yes.
Mr. Francis.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a pretty well-crafted Calypso.
Yes,
it was a strong message.
Yes, yes.
It had a nice melody. It wasn't the usual melody that,
yes,
like...
smooth, very smooth, yes, yeah.
You know? And there's a part of me that was like, look, if we want to be a society of art and culture, we just had to let him go. If we disagree with what he has to say,
no,
you
but
know,
that's Calypso,
right.
that's the thing.
No, but what I'm saying is, you disagree, but that's out. You do that outside.
Exactly.
You don't do it in the competition. You don't tell any cast sing it.
Right. So I really never been there since that happened, and I don't know what to say, how much, because they defend, whoever defended it and say no, that didn't happen. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But I know I missed the part. For my hearing, watching the show, I know I missed the part, right? But still.
Because I guess at the end of the day, that's it, right? This is his moment.
Yes.
And regardless of who heard it, who didn't hear it, the moment is diminished.
That's it.
And it diminishes the culture and the art form and the competition. You know, and it just brings up unnecessary questions that muddy the waters.
That's right. For a beautiful, how do you say, the Mardi Gras? Right, for a beautiful show like the Mardi Gras, which is the cream of the crop.
I mean, I'll say this. I only paid attention to the winner. Powerful song.
Powerful song, yeah. Yeah.
And of course, Mr. Francis, he had a very strong, entertaining. Like it was a good balance of humor.
Yes.
And strength. When you see compositions like that, you know, do you think, oh well, if this is the direction we could go to, if we could replicate this?
Yes, it would be right. We are on the right road, right? But and as I said before, I feel heartened that the younger ones is coming into the Calypso genre, right? Because they taking the old songs now and they're bringing it back to life. So that means they're doing the research.
Right, of course.
They're doing the research, and this is what is important.
Do you think maybe since, you know, it's almost like, well, you just did, I guess at one point, Calypso. But maybe now in 2026, it might not have to be, well, a Calypso concert, but maybe a concert where there's Calypso and other art forms.
Yes.
To keep things diverse and fresh.
Exactly. Because as you said that, my maestro.
Yes.
We have Calypso, we have blues, we have different things in the show, and I have young people in the show, you know. One of the things I will really appreciate you let me talk about is now is the time.
Of course, yes.
Yeah? Now is the time. That piece of music, right? 1985, I think it was the first time it was aired. So many people has passed from that video.
Oh.
Yeah, that video, a lot of people have passed. And you know, we had a rehearsal last night at Napa. All the people we have about 40 persons to be on stage to do that song. Oh. Right, because the ones who pass, right, they have children, so we brought in the children. The ones who are here, like Brother Valentino. We have Posa called me from New York. Twiggy, I want to be on that show.
Folks, when you know what to look for, you can tell someone with the passion and the mindset and the creativity for the art form.
Thank you.
Because just, it might seem obvious, right? Oh, well, we do this thing and we get all the people, but you don't see that all the time because it's also to pull it off.
Yeah, to pull it off is a lot of way because a lot of them didn't come last night. So the video that we take, the rehearsal that we had, I feel so elated because everybody was like Rootsman's son, because Rootsman have like 2 lines in his son, and his son was there. And I seen the passion in him when he wants to sing his father's line. We had the young Tazea O'Connor. He has 2 lines, and they were so passionate about doing this. So I got a text from Luther this morning, and he was saying, he said, Twiggy, 1985, when I look at so many of our artists have gone from this film, he said, this bring back so many memories to me. You know, he said, I was really, really fascinated about that whole thing last night. So that's what I wanted to say about now is the time. And the younger ones, some of them now getting to know who was Calypso Height. A lot of people don't know who was Calypso Height way from that program. So they learn who are the artists, and that now is the time.
Now, I was 1 when it came out.
Yes.
Now is the time, because it was at the 80s.
Right, yes, 85.
What was it speaking to exactly?
The thing in Africa, right? Because the hunger in Africa, the starvation in Africa, and to try to save Africa, put a hand, right? So, but what I wanted to do is Trinidad.
Yes.
TNT.
Because the reason why I asked is, I find it interesting, one of the things that I've done quite a bit in the last few years is think about the 80s, back under the NAR.
Right.
Because like I said, I was born in 85. So I knew what it was like to go in the supermarket and see Kellogg's on the TV, but there's no Kellogg's on the shelf.
On the shelf, yes.
Know what it's like for the family to send Reese's from abroad, because there's no Reese's or Snickers on the shelf. It is only local cereals and snacks, right?
Yes.
There's no foreign fruits. It's all local
apples
foods.
And stuff. Maybe at Christmas, maybe.
And even then, it's not like the apples we have now.
No,
you know?
Yes.
So a lot of Five Finger and Pomerock and
mangoes.
Yes,
full
a
of
lot of that,
yeah.
but not, there's so many things that you like, oh my gosh, this is wider whale, and we don't have it. So now, by the time I was like 12, it was weird. It's like, we have strawberries.
Yes,
where do we get strawberries from?
Coming in. Yes.
And I feel as though the times that the country is going through economically are not too dissimilar to those times. We ain't reached there yet where we cut off.
Right. Yeah.
But you could easily see the oil and gas situation and the economy situation, and if the government had to take hard measures, whether you agree with it or not, that's a different thing. And it's almost like, now is the time to bring this sentiment back.
Now is the time for TNT.
Now is the time to remember what it was like then.
That's right.
And to get that resiliency back. And we had to figure it out then, we could figure it out now.
No, that's right, yes.
So, 70th birthday.
Yes.
Do we look at day over 55?
Thank you.
With the energy of to match.
Thank you.
50 years in Calypso. I wouldn't burden you with saying I hope for 50 more years in Calypso. That might be a little too much.
Oh, good, a little too much.
A little too much.
Yeah.
But maybe a decade or two. You think?
Yes. God's spare my life. That would be nice. Yes.
And hopefully, hopefully we can have this discussion when Calypso rises again.
I hope.
We can have this discussion.
It will be. Yeah.
All right, let's put up the flyer one last time.
Yes.
At Napa, July the 5th, right? 6 p.m. Sunday, July the 5th, not too late. Right, nice, easy evening.
Yes.
To hear a little bit of yesteryear and a little bit of tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that's right. Yes, yeah.
200 price tickets, 350 for 2 tickets. And again, the way how concert tickets are these days, even the 200, you could argue,
Right.
is not that expensive, particularly for a venue like Napa. Because
exactly.
I'm sure you're facing a lot of costs and expense and logistical hurdles. So now is the time to support not just Twiggy, right, but also so many other artists who make up your journey, past, present, future.
Yes.
Mrs. Cujo, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoy this conversation. I haven't in a conversation like this in a long while. I enjoy this.
I'm still trying to figure out how we could make this into a more regular thing.
Anytime.
Right?
Anytime.
But you know what? Let me say this, because of course I had Contender on, and now you're on. What I find also very nice is the presence and the willingness and the ability for you to come here and tell us your stories and tell us your histories and don't hold back
at all.
Right?
Yes.
and in many ways, not necessarily, you know, be a bard, but be a narrator and a narrator to the past that we might have otherwise forgotten if it wasn't for people like yourself.
Yeah, thank God for that. Thank God I'm here to really say what I have experienced, because I don't even want to go there.
All right, okay. Who knows, maybe 50 more years.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God.
All right, folks. Yes. So like I said, we switched gears today. I won't go into all of the politics and stuff. The conversation was too good. I didn't want to end it. So we'll close the show right here, right now. Again, Sunday, July the 5th. Don't miss it. And of course, this is Talking About the WESN Content Capital. Madam Twiggy.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting you, yes.
And you know what? Take the positive vibes from the lady herself and have a good day today. Don't forget, it's nice to be nice. You remember that?
Yes, of course.
In the 90s, it's
yes,
nice
to be nice. Yes.
They had that on a slab in Tobago for years, and then they painted over it. And I was like, oh gosh, no. You know, something about our slogan, it hits different.
It's nice to be, I love that.
It's nice to be nice, folks. Don't forget it. Yeah. Remember your allegiance to this republic and to each other. We'll see each other, though, tomorrow. Bye-bye.
WESN.
Trinidad and Tobago, get ready for a musical explosion of freedom, culture, and pure steel band magic.
Featuring 5 of the nation's super bands, plus their talented youth bands.
Get ready for generations of steel.
The ultimate celebration.